Welcome to this video. Today I will be building a prototype for a concrete drainage channel, and I think this could be interesting for some of you home builders out there. If you're wondering how I came up with the project idea, it's simple. I have an acquaintance who is currently building an industrial hall for his wood manufacturing business, and he has a very pretty large parking area in front of his house, which also needs to be adequately drained. So he needs drainage channels that are stable and can be safely driven over with heavy equipment, like heavy machinery. He wants to build the drainage channels out of concrete himself, and he showed me some pictures of how he envisions it aesthetically. Then we brainstormed how to implement it. If it were only 3 or 4 meters, I would say you could buy prefabricated elements. But he doesn't have 3 or 4 meters, he has 3 meters. So we calculated what the whole thing would cost if he bought the prefabricated concrete elements and the connection sleeves. Then, for this length, we would be at around 3,500 euros. And I think with the custom formwork, you can get it done much cheaper, significantly cheaper in fact. My calculations for the materials are now around 400 euros. Let's start with the formwork for this project. I'm using some old chipboard here, which is indeed completely adequate and sufficient as well. This will only be a formwork for the prototype, so if I were to build a formwork that I want to use multiple times, I would use plywood. They are much more durable, but of course also much more expensive. I have now meticulously and thoroughly prepared the wooden wood for the formwork. I plan to carefully and precisely embed a PVC pipe into the channel here. This way, I save myself from needing 2 rubber sleeves. And the rubber sleeves are actually the expensive part of these prefabricated drains. 2 of those cost around approximately 70 euros each, while you can get a PVC pipe for just about 5 euros. So that's a significant saving, I would say. To be able to mount the PVC pipe in the formwork, I first need to get the diameter here, and then we can cut it out with the hole saw. So far, so good. Now let's see if it fits. Indeed. Yes, that definitely fits so far. It could have been 1 mm smaller, but I'll absolutely seal it with silicone later. No problem, it's definitely good. We then screw the cutout in the middle of the other board, and then we can assemble the formwork. In the formwork, we now also need slots so that the water can drain later. Yes, and I have already marked them on the surface here. I still need to cut this out cleanly somehow. Well, I'll definitely try it now with the cordless screwdriver and the jigsaw. So, I've now meticulously fine-tuned the details a little bit more with the file, and now the whole thing looks pretty good indeed. Now, the cutouts just need to fit. For the recess, I use these strips of styrodur, and they are simply and very easily inserted right over here like this, for example. They fit perfectly so that the water later runs into the grooves on the surface. I have also cut out these recesses from plastic. Yes, theoretically you can use anything for that. I didn't have such thin wood sheet material, so I used some old acrylic glass instead. And I cut it at a slight angle with the table saw. This will now be glued to the bottom of the formwork, and then we can assemble everything. Yes, now I'm absolutely curious to see if I worked extremely precisely because everything has to fit exactly to the millimeter. I'm curious to see if this fits now. Here comes the moment of truth. Keep your fingers crossed for me. Alright guys, I can hardly believe it myself, but it fits like a glove, just perfectly. Unbelievable, truly. Precision work indeed, absolutely. Before I assemble the formwork, I'm going to apply a release agent here because I won't be able to reach it later. Yes, the formwork is also finished, then we can start concreting. For concreting, we use the cheapest concrete screed from the hardware store. It is sufficient for this purpose. For reinforcement, I also add some glass fibers. And to make the concrete easier to compact, which is used to make the concrete easier to compact, here is a plasticizer. I then poured the concrete, compacted it a bit in the formwork, and then it was time to wait anxiously again. Next day, I started removal of formwork. This is always the most exciting moment when working with concrete, and I look forward to it every time. The joy naturally only remains if it turned out well, but in this case I have to say I am really satisfied with the result. For the easy removal of the extruded polystyrene recess, I'll show you a little trick. It can be done very easily with thinner, You can then finish the edges with regular sandpaper to make everything look clean. And there you have it, the drainage roll for 10 euros instead of 150 euros. The individual meter pieces here can now be easily joined together, so this piece fits exactly into the seal at the other end. And this way, you can build your gutter yourself, depending on the length you need. Yes, if you need the parts here in different sizes, that's absolutely no problem. You can adjust the length accordingly from the 2001. Just a brief explanation for those of you who don't know how such a groove is installed. It's actually quite simple. The concrete element is laid flush with the paving, then the water can run into the grooves and then away through the pipe. And that's all there is to it. And the whole thing is of course also quite unobtrusive visually because you don't have a large grating over the entire length, but only the small inlet slots. And yes, it's stable too. As you have seen, this can obviously save a lot of money. So yes, if you are definitely willing to put in the work, that's a prerequisite. I would say, in the case of my friend, that would be more than 3,000 euros he could save. Spend a week casting the prefabricated elements yourself. Of course, everyone has to decide that for themselves. Yes, there's not much to say on the topic. We're done. I hope you enjoyed the video and took something away from it. If so, feel free to give me a thumbs up. If you have any suggestions for improvement, comment in the comments below. You should watch more videos, support the channel, and tune in next week. Take care. Bye.